out of everything.
Yeah, if you could just explain what money is and how it works in this country, in the world even.
Money in general is a transaction that takes place that started with something called barter, where if I'm living on a farm and I have bananas and I eat bananas every day, and my neighbor has apples and I want to get them apples, all I'm going to do is, neighbor, are you interested in having bananas? He'd be like, yes. And then you tell him, I'm interested in having apples. How about we do an exchange? I'll give you 3 bananas, you'll give me 3 apples. And this system is called bartering. And barter took place for hundreds of years and thousands of years. Where people would barter, you'd go down to the village, some would take fruit, some would take vegetables, some would take live cows, some would take a beautiful cloth that they just created, some would get some sort of a cliff-based bowl. And that was the idea of bartering. Money was created to make bartering easier. In a sense that if I'm gonna go down the village, instead of walking miles down with my cows or with my steel or with my wood, we decided to give value to merchandise, and we decided to make money as a system of payment. Why? Because money was easier to carry, it was easier to divide, and it didn't really have an expiry to it. But simultaneously, while money was taking place, you could still barter. I mean, if I were to tell him now, yo, give me your bike, I could actually pay him with cash, or I can give him an iPhone 7 Plus.
I don't have a bike.
He would still give me his bike for an iPhone 7 Plus. So bartering still takes place. The whole idea of banking started when people started having a lot of money and they were scared about losing it or being robbed, okay? And were motivated by the banking system when the banking system started saying, give me your 10 pounds, I will give you £1 interest a year, which is 10%. Okay, and they did that and they used it as a collateral, and what they did was they lent him the 10 pounds and they would charge him £2 interest, which is 20%. So Mr. Dave here was paying £2, the bank kept £1 as profit and to pay for their overhead, and then they would give him £1 interest. And as more people started depositing banks money, they started giving out and lending more. What is the problem? When they went into something called fractional reserve, where they would actually take 10 pounds from somebody and they would give 10 pounds to other people, and then 100 pounds to other people, and then 1,000 pounds to other people, and each pound for them was a symbol to print out 10. So basically you are giving 1,000 pounds on every 10 pounds that you are printing. And worst case, they stopped even depending on people who are depositing. They started going into the world of IOUs, saying that I owe the bank £1 million, and then they would print £1 million. Now banks couldn't really do it as hard as they can until the Federal Reserve came and it took over the whole banking industry, and the Federal Reserve started deciding what banks can print as long as they complied to their requisites or their rules. Now money was always based on gold, and then they based it on oil, and then Richard Nixon obviously abolished that. My information on John F. Kennedy, his assassination took place because he decided to abolish something called the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve has an act that took place in 1912 where they created it. They even took them to the Jekyll Island, where the Rockefellers and the Morgans and the DuPonts, the big families, they sat together and they decided to control America. Imagine you're a country that can't even print your own money. You need to take money from a government, not even a government agency, a private agency, and pay them interest. And that's what's been happening to them. Kennedy abolished this through Executive Order 10010, look it up. After he abolished it, he was assassinated. After he was assassinated, Lyndon Johnson came. They called Lyndon. They're like, listen, brother, you're going to be president. First thing you're going to do is reverse this act. Second of all, you're going to give this green light to war. And then you're going to do all the above, because at the end of the day, any other president that came after JFK is a puppet. You look up Executive Order JFK, and it's what you know. The good thing about
the whole money thing, how do we know that's true as well? Like, you're explaining.
on every level.
Is it just a theory? Or
No. These are facts.
So how can we change it then?
First thing we need to do is destroy something called the Federal Reserve. You have had politicians that have brought it up in America, but they can't. No one can ever mess with it. It's like you have politics taking place, but all of you are kissing ass to him. So from day one, you would talk about certain issues, but you would never talk about that.
Like being two as individuals, everyone here, how come it's all good to talk about federal bank needs to control us? How as the people can we destroy
You need to get off the debit system, the credit system. Do not get any sort of credit.
You work.
Yes.
So how? Like you pay taxes, you work, you make money. How? Like
Look, if we look at the earth, we have the perfect model. If we combine Costa Rica, who has free energy, we go to Netherlands, who have free medical care, we go to Sweden, they have free education, you go to Lebanon, where there's zero problems with security. Do you know in Lebanon no one gets mugged? Do you know that? You could have wars, but no one gets mugged. 100%. You know what I'm talking about? Us as an earth, we have the perfect model. Now, these governments, it's not like a politician is a bad person. It's just he's part of a society. So we need to identify what's going on so that a country like America can print its own money. You know what I mean? Now, when it prints its own money, it no longer will pay those interests. And it will only print on the basis of what it has. Why has America now all of a sudden a $19 trillion economy? What is the biggest economy in the world? America with 19 trillion. Then comes China, like 14. Then comes Japan, I think it has 10. Then comes Germany, then comes England, then comes France. These are the GMPs and GDPs. So that by understanding this history, you'll wake up to a lot of issues. The issue of this shape or whatever it is just the tip of the iceberg. We have been disillusioned on a lot of histories. Now, are we here to create problems? Of course not. Do we want war? Of course not. Do we want chaos? No. Are we going to riot? No. Like Mother Teresa said, instead of rioting against the war, let's walk a march of peace. So what we want to do is find a better world for our children. And our kids should not be paying for energy, should not be sick. They are entitled to knowledge, information, not education, regurgitation, where a child learns about a specific subject. I want my child at the age of 10 to know about all the subjects. Okay? And obviously our history is causing a big problem because the Shias can't get along. The Shia and the Sunni can't get along. The Shia and the Sunni and the Alawis can't get along. The Catholic and the Protestant can't get along. The Orthodox and the Protestant can't get along. So forget about Christian and Muslim. Let's just look at each church individually. Why? Because there is a virus. And this virus is called divide and conquer. So when we unite the information, we base it on love and compassion, we realize that there's no need to fight. Because all of us can fit in Australia, that's how much space we have. And this illusion of diamonds, what is a diamond? If you're stuck in a room and you have unlimited amount of diamonds, what is it going to give you? Nothing. If you're starving, it's not going to feed you. If you're thirsty, it's not going to feed you. If you're cold, you're not going to cover it. And you buy a diamond for 10,000 pounds, second day you can't even buy it for 5,000 pounds. And they're not even scarce. So this is an illusion as it is. Oil is abundant. Every country in the world has oil. Saudi Arabia was so happy with its 80 billion reserve until Chavez came from Venezuela. I lived in Venezuela. And I saw the man discover oil, and they went crazy. That's why they hated it. Because he found there's 260 billion barrels, 5 times what Saudi has. And now they're discovering every country has oil. There's abundance of oil. And energy can be made with 50 other sources, including water. Here we have ley lines. Richard Feynman, PhD, spoke about atmospheric electricity. Levels of electricity, how every time you go up a meter, there's an increase in voltage. So we're fighting over oil when your cars can work on water and electricity. So there's a lot of information. The banking is something we all have to be aware of and stop being fearful of. There are certain issues that are taking place where the government now helps you with the house loans for £600,000. They ask you to pay after 5 years. Lloyds Bank helps with 1.6. So we're not exactly in the worst case scenario. And obviously England is so much better off than America in a million ways. In America, 20 veterans are committing suicide every day. 2,000 kids are being kidnapped every day. 1 out of every 3 is obese. 50% are diabetic. That's a big problem. Kids need $200,000 just to get an education. England are much better off, the social system is much better off, and we have a lot of beautiful countries in Europe that are doing very well. Should we be scared? No. Is this hell? No. This is heaven. But I can come here and say who's wearing Armani, who's got the Rolex, it's about me and ego. Or I can come here and see you all as brothers and sisters and say, you know what? What a democracy. What beauty that we have all the races of the world. What beauty that we have these beautiful trees and the sun. So it's a mind construct. It's a frequency you want to be on. Now certain issues will affect you. Me taking a shot on tequila, I'm going to get sexual. Me taking a nice J will make me part of this beautiful vibration, but limited. After the buzz is gone, I'm not going to be the same person. And before I smoke that J, I'm not going to be happy. So that's a bad thing also. Same thing with all the above. Medicine is bad for you. Having any sort of temptation or an addiction is bad for you. So these are certain issues we like to discuss. And that was my answer to you in terms of money. You have anything to...
How do you think money is used to influence our lives?
Every country that has a Rothschild bank, let's just call it, or central bank, is part of the system. The countries that weren't, like Korea and Iran and Venezuela and Syria, are the ones now being attacked until they get it inside. As long as I have you by the balls, that's it. Aid in Africa, we all studied it, it's given by boomerang aid. I give the black of Africa his money, but he can only buy my products. The debt system is the worst. When you wake up in the morning and you know you have a debt, that's it. You're gonna, hello, hi Bob, don't worry, I got your money. Yeah, on the 5th I'm gonna pay you. And that's what's happened. They've controlled all the countries of the world through debt. All of them. And all of them have an interest to be paid, and all of them are paying interest. And countries that collapsed, Iceland, decided not to pay out the debts. Remember the story, and they threw their politicians, they threw them in the garbage bins, because they were waking up to that fact. So basically, we need to understand that we are already by the balls. When we talk about a debt of America having 20 trillion or 30 trillion, who are they in debt with? What's this Federal Reserve? They are private institutions. Now again, we're not here to cause chaos, but we need to identify what's happening. And we as individuals should learn to spend money we have. This idea of buy a clothes at top, put it in your closet for 1 week. Get it after 1 week and see how you feel about it. Versus that day when you bought it. Because after you buy something, that's it. Its value goes down immediately. Buy something that's important to you. So we should be aware of this issue. There are certain things you can do. There is Michael Sillinger. He's a very nice scientist that I love. He has a movement called the Ubuntu movement, where he speaks about villages working together as a team, where you only have to give 6 hours a week of your time to work. And as a village, they all cooperate to create, to build whatever they need to sell off whatever they need to, and they acquire resources of whatever they need to. And you know, you like to be an artist? Great, you will draw. You like to build Lamborghinis? We'll give you the raw materials. They supply everything they need as a village. The excess, they sell it off. It's a system. So there are models that we're not going to go into now. There are proposals. The first thing we need to do is identifying that medicine is making me sick. The idea that I'm going to a hospital because I'm sick starts with a problem. That I'm begging a doctor to tell me what's wrong is another problem. That he takes my x-ray, that's another problem. You have to understand you have a built-in mechanism where you can heal yourself, just like Wolverine. Bruce Lipton talks about biology of belief. Cell biologist, PhD, look him up. Biology of belief, Bruce Lipton. And he talked to you about your voltages, about cells being created, about how you can heal yourself, the study of epigenetics, you being on top of your genes. This idea that my dad had cancer, I have cancer is bullshit. And any disease and sickness will disappear if you have an alkali state. When you are alkali, you will never get chronic sickness and you'll never get inflammation. And alkali, which you get an alkali battery, means you have good voltage. And as long as your voltage is working, you never get sick. So there's lots of details for you to go. What you need to do is strengthen yourself first with knowledge. And break down the departments. And know that his story stands for his story. Doesn't mean this is the story. I mean, who here knew about the pyramids being power stations? Who? We all thought they were things built by the Egyptians and mummies. Now we're waking up to the reality that they had water at the bottom. They work like the Tesla towers and the Wardenclyffe in New Jersey. They resonate. So it is about information. Again, we're not here to cause any sort of negativity. On the contrary, I'm here to smile and to say, relax. This is heaven. Nobody's going to destroy this planet. None of us are going to have issues. They're going to be hard technology, weather is hitting us, tsunamis. This is all government made. But as an Earth, we can't even destroy this. And this bullshit of pollution is rubbish. I live on the beach on Miami, and it's the most beautiful beach in the world, and I don't see anything to do with pollution or dirt. And I'm literally 3 hours away from New York, which is a heavy in the industry going on. This is all a mind fuck. Sorry for using that word.
What's your name again, brother?
Fayez.
Fayez.
As usual, it's a pleasure. You are a hero. Because for this to work, you need the producer, the director, the actor, the scriptwriter. So God bless you for what you do, and we love your channel. Okay?
Content over everything. From now to Behaviour.
Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC.
Man don't listen to ITV.
The pigmentation.
Listen.
But there's albinos in Africa. They're Africans, but they're albinos. Their skin is just white, but they still got the same features. So I agree with you, but I don't see where the point is going. They said that different skin colours derive from Africa.